In the beginning of this year, I had decided that I will try out new genres that I have never tried before when it comes to my reading. So I picked up some YA fantasy and YA romance novels, and which I really, really loved, surprisingly. And it made me wonder, why didn't I, you know, read them previously? Because I think grown-ups like me have this notion that YA books are too childish, and they do not are worthy of our attention. But I've been proven wrong. So I think you should also try some nice YA fantasy that's out there. I think adults and grown-ups should stop condescending on young adult books. Uh, when it comes to nonfiction, usually, I try out popular science books, cosmology, astrophysics, and generally physics, because physics was my major when in college. So I am always interested in reading more about physics, because generally it's very interesting, and also because it was my area of expertise, uh, at least in college. Anywho, this year I decided that I should try out something new, and I ventured into treacherous and often very difficult to understand pastures of morality, ethics, philosophy, and even some political writings. So that was really brave of me. And since I take a long time to read non-fiction books, I was not able to, uh, start on the ethics, morality topics, and even the political topics. I read some books about brain, and again some books on physics. I read the second book by Yuval Noah Harari, and that's it. Because and the rest of the books that I read were fiction books. Which I plan to change hopefully in 2021. I'm looking forward to reading more and more non-fiction books. Uh, Coming to the books that I have lined up today for my vlog, there are four books. The first book that I have today for my vlog is a book by Oliver Sacks. He's a neurobiologist, and it has a very interesting book title. It is called "The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat." This is the book. Do you see it? Okay. And so, as I said, he is a neurobiologist, and the book recounts the stories of his patients that he has encountered over the years during his career as a neurobiologist. And these are people who cannot identify everyday objects, or the people whom they love, or who throw violent fits for no reason, or shout obscenities without knowing that they are doing it. Uh, it is a very pathetic and pitiful situation to be in. I have always wondered about it. There is an interesting quote in the book which goes like this: "If a man has lost an eye or a leg, he knows it. But what if he has lost a self, himself? He cannot know it because he is no longer there to know it." I am always fascinated by the science and the ongoing research around the subject of brain. The first time I read anything remotely related to that was the book Believing Brain by Michael Shermer. He's one of my favorite writers. I love him. I even follow his YouTube channel. You should check it out. It's amazing. Amazing content out there in his YouTube channel. It is a sad and profound reality that many people out there have a reluctance, very understandably, in accepting the fact that we are what our brains are, and what the electrical signals that are triggered and traveling at lightning speeds inside our body. Brain is that area of science where there is so much left unexplored. There are so many unanswered questions, and because of this gap in our knowledge, there are a lot of charlatans of the 21st century who try to uh, mislead people by claiming clairvoyance with their charming rhetorics and spiritual hogwash. And that really irritates me, because there is a gap in our understanding of the functioning of our brain. That space has been hijacked by these quarks and hoodwinkers, and who have no idea of where the current science is about brain. They just outrightly come out and say that, hey, science cannot answer it. But yeah, science cannot answer it, but it is trying to understand it. Have you had a chance to look into the latest research that's been going on around it? What researches have you read? How can you outrightly say that we cannot understand it? And they uh, try to sell their products and services as spirituality, packaged in nice looking capitalistic bundle package. And this is worrisome because even the most well-read and well-educated people fall prey to these charlatans and hoodwinkers, and this should not happen. And this can be avoided only by making ourselves aware of the latest advances in science, in neurobiology, in neuroscience as a whole, or talking to people who understand the science behind it. Acceptance of ignorance should not be seen as an acceptance of defeat. Meaning that just because we do not understand something now does not mean that we cannot understand it at all. So because we are in 21st century now, maybe when we are in the 22nd century or 23rd century, if we survive till then as a species, maybe we will have the answer to these questions, and the spirituality will be thrown out the window as a very archaic ideology. Who knows? So coming back to the book, in this book, Dr. Sachs talks about these patients who are suffering with neurobiological disorders, and they are written off as retards and good for nothing, but have amazing mathematical or artistic capabilities and talents. So I'm really looking forward to it, and if I find it interesting enough, and if I find subjects and contents that I need to share with you guys, I will definitely do a review about this book. I've been watching a lot of Alex O'Connor's video. If you do not know about him, he has a YouTube channel called CosmicSkeptic, where he talks about morality, ethics, and philosophy, and more recently, a lot about animal rights as well, and veganism. Um, he is a 21-year-old a young boy who has already interviewed the likes of Michael Shermer, Lawrence Krauss, Richard Dawkins, etc., whom I really adore. And these are people whom I wish I have at least met them, at a book signing or something, let alone interview them and have a conversation with them. So I'm really fascinated by the questions that he asks and the way he thinks. And while watching his channels, I came across these two books, which are the two following books in my list today. The first one is the book called The Kindness of Strangers. How a Selfish Ape Invented a New Moral Code by Michael E. McCullough. So this book essentially is trying to answer this one basic question: why do we care for others? And since the time of Darwin, evolutionary biologists have been trying to answer this question, and not being able to reach a conclusion or any kind of answer. And in this book, the author tries to say that we will not find the answer through evolutionary biology, but rather the answer lies in understanding human reasoning, or human reasoning is the answer of why do we care for others. I don't know if I completely agree with this, because and I haven't read the book yet. This is what I have understood from the synopsis, that this is what the author is trying to tell via this book. I will read the book, try to understand the argument, maybe I will change my opinion. But as of now, I think that human reasoning cannot answer why we care for other beings or our fellow species, because compassion, altruism has been observed in pre-human species like Australopithecus africanus, I think. If compassion and care for each other and altruism existed before even we reached our current human form, in terms of evolution, then how can you answer that in terms of human reasoning, because we haven't had human reasoning at that point of time. But I may be wrong, because I might be overlooking any other important factor. Also, this is a contradiction to what Peter Singer says in The Expanding Circle, I believe. So I'll talk about that book now. So this is the current book that I'm reading. This is The Expanding Circle by Peter Singer. So Peter Singer, as you all might know, he is called the most important influential philosopher of current times, and he is also called the father, or maybe the grandfather, of animal rights activism and animal rights movement. So he is a person I really look up to. So this book is basically about what is ethics, where do moral standards come from, are they based on emotions, reason, or some innate sense of right or wrong. And again, like I explained in the previous book, people have been exploring about these concepts from the time of Darwin, trying to explain that in terms of evolutionary biology, and questions like, if evolution is considered as a struggle for survival, then how did we manage to care for each other? He argues that human reasoning is a reason why moral progress is happening. So I think by moral progress he means that, okay, initially we used to care for our tribe, our group, then you expanded to nations, then you expanded to the whole species, etc. And at some and many of us now have expanded this circle of our moral progress to include non-human animals as well. So this is he is considering that this expansion happens because of not a predestined evolutionary biological process, but via human reasoning. And I also read in many reviews that Mr. Singer has tried to reanalyze his position in this book via his new afterword. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So to understand how he has corrected himself or updated himself based on new knowledge. That's what scientists do, right? Very excited to read the afterword. I will definitely do a review on this book if I can be articulate enough to express his ideas using my very limited vocabulary. But yes, I will give it a try. Uh, the next book is a new genre for me. I generally do not read politics, but this is a book not just about politics, it's about race, it's about class, it's about our society. This is a much talked about and hyped book currently doing the rounds, and it's by Isabel Wilkerson, called The Caste, The Lies That Divide Us. We in India are very familiar with the discourse on caste, and well informed as well. Most of us, well, mostly people talk about caste when it comes to vote banking politics, but for me it is much more than that. It is about the conditions that our fellow beings are being subject to due to the station of their birth. And I do not condone that. I myself am a victim of it, and I strongly voice my opinion about this particular subject whenever I can, in what little way I can. So I'm very interested to know how Miss Wilkerson is going to talk about caste, especially a subject like this handled by someone from the West, because when we think about caste, India is the first thing that comes into mind. So for me, I would be interested in knowing the how caste is perceived and propagated in the West, especially in the US, understand the differences and the similarities of how it is practiced, in our country versus in the West. I really like a quote from this book which goes like this: The price of privilege is the moral duty to act when one sees another person treated unfairly. And the least that a person in the dominant caste can do is not make the pain any worse. It has got a very good rating, 4.63 in GoodReads. So I'm assuming it's brilliant. And this is another book that I will definitely be doing a review about. So these are the four non-fiction books that I picked up to read. I don't think I will be able to finish this in 2020, but as and when I finish them, I will put up the book reviews. Like I said, if I find there is content that I want to discuss with you, talk with you about. So thanks for listening in, guys. I will be back with a new video very soon. Please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, please share them with your colleagues, and also please let me know what other non-fiction books in the similar genre that I should pick up and read. Bye bye.